A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 49th edition of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. You heard that right, the 49th. It's been an absolutely thrilling journey. Starting just when the lockdowns had started, we said let's put together a webinar series that will help all the educators out there get a bit more hands-on with these online teaching platforms. Zoom was quickly becoming popular, so we said this will help every single person out there attending these webinars get a more hands-on feel of Zoom. Right now, I'm sure everybody attending this is an expert in Zoom. We have started using tools and tackles that we did not know existed until a few months back. And speaking of tools and tackles, today we talk about one of those things that we have always associated with tools and tackles, vocational education. The new education policy places a lot of emphasis on application and vocational education. Today, we have an expert panel lined up for you who shall discuss the various facets of vocational education as we know it. Before we do that, for the few of you who are joining us for the first time perhaps, I will tell you a little bit about Notebook. We at Notebook are an edtech product and India's first after-school app. When we say after-school app, we mean that the videos that we create are tailored to the CBSE and others board curriculum, and teachers can use these videos to start off their classes, whether these are online classes or offline classes. These videos help students get a better understanding of the topic as the teacher introduces it to them. And these videos are really short, 6 to 8 minute short, crisp videos that take up a very small part of your classroom time. And then the students have access to these same videos on their personal devices months later. Let's say 6 months later, when it's time for the half-yearly exam or the annual exam, they can access these same videos from their personal devices to revise these topics once more. What I will do now is show you the various parts of a topic that we look at in our pedagogy so that you can better understand what Notebook is all about.
We are aware now of the fatal consequences of climate change. If countries do not strictly adhere to the environmental policies around the world. The Swedish teenager Greta Thunberg has led the climate conversation relentlessly. She has initiated school strikes for climate change. The factory owners and managers preferred women and children workers because they could be subjugated better. They complained less about the terrible working conditions and accepted meager wages. The mortality of the workers was high. They expired with outbreaks of epidemics like cholera and typhoid. Most children did not cross the age of 5. Hello students, welcome to our recap video on the Industrial Revolution. Industrialization first started in Britain or England and then spread to other countries of the world. The Agricultural Revolution, or the boom in agricultural production, was the precursor of the Industrial Revolution in England. Briefly discussed the growth of coal mining and iron industry in Britain in the wake of the Industrial Revolution. The new machineries, chiefly those powered by steam engines, needed huge supplies of coal. The demand for the coal in homes and factories led miners to dig deeper into the earth.
So ladies and gentlemen, as you just saw, every topic is started with an interest builder, something that gets the students' interest going in the topic that will follow. Then the lesson is divided into parts, each very short so that they take only a part of the classroom time. And then there's a recap and finally question and answer. That's the pedagogy that we follow at Notebook. We hope that you teachers out there would find it useful enough to use it in your everyday classes. Well, that said, it is now time to move on to our first speaker today. Our first speaker today is Mr. Philip Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Student Welfare, Dean of Activities, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He's also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. So privileged to have you with us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Shubayu. I hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear, sir.
And a very good evening to you, to Achin, to Abhishek, all those at Notebook, and a very good evening to our panelists, Mrs. Venkatesh, Mr. Kumar, and Mr. Murli, as well as our guests tuned in. So I don't pretend to be an expert in this topic, so I'm going to be brief and leave it to our panelists. So when you look at vocation and career, generally, vocation and careers and jobs are words used interchangeably. But in my dictionary, a vocation is a more calling, a passion, and it's different from a job. It has more to do with the development of talents and the choice of a career which is enjoyable. A student might do a job all his life to earn his living, but hate it, and then later on turn to his true calling of a musician or a photographer. This is more his vocation, especially in our country, where so many students are forced into a profession of their parents' choice or follow into the family business. The concept of choosing a vocation as a career may be anathema for many. Now, vocational education may be classified as teaching a procedural knowledge or a practical skill. This may be contrasted with more a declarative type of knowledge as used in education in the broader scientific field, which might concentrate on theory and abstract conceptual knowledge, characteristic of higher tertiary education. It's almost like a segregation between the blue and white collar jobs. Vocational education is education that prepares people to work as technicians or to make up employment in a skill craft or trade, to be a tradesperson or artisan. Vocational education is sometimes referred to as a career in one's skills and interests, like welding, lathe work, refrigeration, sound engineering, electrical repairs, motor repairs. Vocational courses deal with the industrial friendly skills and prepare the candidates into the diverse fields of a dedicated career. These courses help in the advancement of a career as they are directly related to the corporate requirements. There are vocational courses which conform to the specific candidate skills and which is required for a certain profession. Now, up to the end of the 20th century, vocational education focused on specific trades, for example, as I said, an automobile mechanic or a welder, and was therefore associated with the activities of the lower social classes. As a consequence, it attracted a certain level of stigma. Vocational education is related to the age old apprenticeship system of learning, something that we in India would associate with the ITIs or the Don Bosco technical schools, and in the UK with the working classes, where young people had to support their families and so had to work quite early, as early as 18. However, as the labor market became more specialized and economies demanded higher levels of skills, governments and businesses increasingly invested in the future of vocational education through publicly funded training organizations and subsidized apprenticeship or training initiatives for businesses. At the post secondary level, vocational education is typically provided by a technical institute or a community college. Now, there are different levels at which you can get a career. For example, one can get a career straight after school, like hotel management. Some jobs would need a small entrance exam, like the Merchant Navy. Other jobs you could only do after graduation. And still, other jobs are only available after a post graduation or a doctorate. The concept of vocational training arose from the fact that not all students are academically minded or gifted. And so even passing class 12 was going to be a big problem, let alone struggling with 3 years of college. In any case, 3 years of college doesn't qualify anyone for a skilled job. And so instead of bashing on in these 3 years of college, it's more important that these kids got into something that they liked, that they loved, and which could earn them some money. And students who were financially weak, who needed to work quickly, got into these vocational courses. Now, a disadvantage to vocational education is the low score when it comes to job competition against aspirants who have a traditional college degree. Vocational college education students enter career fields faster compared to traditional college students. However, many of these jobs are on lower paying positions. Vocational training is a learning of students about practical things and processes. It is is very important for schools to include them in some ways in the curriculum. Vocational training also makes them aware of the practical applications of the theories that they learn in class. Now, if anyone has worked in elite schools, such as I have, um, we believe that all school leavers go to college. But this is really a false conception. Statistics show that in India, only 9% of school leavers go to college. And these are highest in the metros. And only about 14 to 18% of Indians are graduates. Now, among the wealthy metro kids, it is looked upon as a sort of status symbol to get to a college, preferably a foreign college. But increasingly, with the high cutoffs in Indian colleges, either our children are going abroad, where the competition is easier, or some of them are dropping out and getting into vocational studies. Now, in elite, sometimes elite schools offer a very rich co-curricular program, so that a child, apart from his maths, physics, and history, is also doing drama, art, photography, fabric design, sculpture, pottery, sports. There's a career in sports, cooking, the culinary arts, writing, music, adventure. Also, some schools have technical drawing, carpentry, metalwork, wrought iron work, screen printing, 3D printing, robotics, aero modeling, auto maintenance. Now, in our school, we had a boy who designed, constructed, and got a licensed pilot to fly a microlight that he made in the workshop. Today, he is a licensed pilot and has an adventure camp up in the hills from here, 5 hours from here, from Dehradun, where he takes tourists out on hang gliders and parasailing expeditions. This is the boy I know. Now, I have numerous examples of my own students who have made careers out of the stuff they did outside the class. And these were referred to as the alternative careers. And I think that the need of the hour is to be self employed and independent because funds are available. I would love to see centers where girls learn how to be beauticians, masseurs, wellness trainers, hospitality training, air hostesses, cookery, culinary arts, food and beverage management, tourism, tailoring, and boys too. There's a whole plethora of things that they can get into and love. Now, what there's another a slide that I would like Shabayu to come up with. Please, Shabayu. Yes. Now, this is what we need to focus on. What schools need to focus on is aspiration, not qualification only. On aptitude, not education solely. Focus on methodology, not content solely. And train for employability, not only employment. Schools need to focus on a lifelong learning rather than one-time training. They need to focus on skill building rather than vocational guidance. They are to focus on the dignity of labor, not on a social profile. And finally, quality rather than quantity. Now, ways to acquire vocational education. Well, the easiest way is to become an apprentice and learn on the job. Second is students after class 10 should join vocational institutes. And many schools offer vocational education. In fact, the CBSE has a huge list of subjects that come under vocational training. And in India, currently, there are over 6,000 ITIs. But their quality is sometimes dubious. And elite schools like the Doon School, we unknowingly teach a lot of vocational training, which is built into our co-curricular activities, as I just mentioned. And of course, the last one is to complete college and then move into a vocational skill later on. Now, the problems of vocational education in India are limited flexibility, huge add-on costs, narrow curriculum, lack of suitable medium of instructions. Because employers today want good communication, and academic skills as well. In the next slide, I'm just going to gloss over the next slide that Shavayu will put up. And these are a list of some of the most popular vocational training areas for India. I've taken a list. These are some of the most important. Now, just look at audio technicians. I mean, there's a huge, huge world out there for them. Electrical technicians, foreign language experts. The world needs Chinese today. The world needs interpreters. Huge amounts of requirements in medical lab technology, nursing, air hostesses, event management. Hospitality, the Indian hospitality business is growing. We need people to run our cuisine companies, our private companies, our private clubs, travel agencies, hotels, digital marketing, animation, graphics, multimedia. Huge careers in fashion designing. Every girl wants to be a Miss India. There's so many, beauticians. Then there's banking, finance, and the list goes on and on. Now, my prediction is that the importance of college education as we know it is going to decline and become almost redundant. Unless one, of course, wants to get into research and be an academic. But more and more college grads with a liberal arts degree will be unemployable. They will be qualified but unemployed because they do not have the required skills. And those who have pursued a vocation or a skill after a secondary education or after college will be the best off because their skills will be in demand by the jobs of tomorrow. Now, the pandemic over these last 6 months, I have just seen this. People have lost their primary jobs, many are unemployed, but their wives have begun to cook, distribute food. Bakery items are on the menu, yoga, fitness instructions. They are picking up their musical instruments, their paint brushes, carpentry, tools. Some of them are writing and orating online. And they're falling back on innate skills that they learned not in college, but at home, after class, in their free time. I want to end with the last slide, which is an interesting slide on, I hope you can see that, Now, if you look at row 1 and row 8, now row 1 is people who are educated, skilled, and employed, which is the best case scenario. And last row is people who are uneducated, unskilled, and unemployed, which is the worst case scenario. And between these two extremes, there is, I'd like you to look at number 2, people who are educated, skilled, but unemployed. Now, the government obviously needs to create more jobs. We need to get into more jobs. Item 3 would be educated, unskilled, unemployed. This is where the college graduates are led to depression because they are educated, but they are unskilled and unemployed. And if you look at item 6, there are uneducated, skilled, yet employed people. This group of people have created the Middle East, Dubai. Indians are in great demand. Now, number 7 would be uneducated, unskilled, unemployed, and employed. These are your daily wages. These are your people who are exploited. These are people who do a great job, but they are uneducated and unskilled, yet employed. So I will end here. I hope I have laid some foundation for our experts to carry on with. And thank you very much, Shavayu. And with that, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful introduction into today's topic. And I think this chart would make this lovely 2x2x2 three-dimensional matrix that you can kind of place somebody's abilities in to figure out what category they come under. Thank you so much for that, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce the second speaker today. Our second speaker is Achin Bhattacharya. Achin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, he was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. He has been the recipient of the Indian Achievers Award. Achin is an avid reader and a passionate traveler with keen interests in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Achin, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Shubhayu, am I audible?
Loud and clear. Sir.
Yes.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session on a topic which is really important for wholesome development of a child. It promotes dignity of labor, makes our next generation more employable, and may also sow seeds of entrepreneurship in our youngsters, making many of them job providers in the days to come. Vocation and career are two words that have often been used interchangeably and up until the 20th century, as Bharat mentioned. Such trainings focused on jobs for blue-collar workers. Such education supported employment of many workers in the industry sector and in many cases offered an option for self-employment. These trainings offered a volume of relief to candidates who were unable to pursue higher education due to personal constraints, financial pressure, or lack of motivation. The demand for variety of practical skills on jobs increased the importance of vocational training. Now, businesses soon realized that the time spent on hands-on training with fresh workers translated to loss of resource time and therefore increased their costs. For such reasons, business houses found it prudent to directly invest in early training methods with establishment of vocational training centers to meet industry requirements. As we would all agree, education has always been the key to opportunity and is rightly called the great equalizer. However, sociologist Herbert Spencer once noted, and this is really interesting, how often misused words generate misleading thoughts. By placing descriptors like vocational and technical in front of the word education, we generate misleading thoughts about the type of people who enroll in such programs. Now, those who earn what people usually call vocational and technical diplomas have long been viewed as inferior. Now, I was going through a report and some contributions in that particular report, whereby Miss Virginia Fox, a Republican representing North Carolina's 5th congressional district. Some of her views that I saw in the report, I found them very prudent in today's context. Like, for instance, what we are discussing now, that those who earn what people usually call vocational and technical diplomas have long been viewed as inferior to those who graduate with a series of letters after their names. If you went to school to learn a trade, you must be lesser because someone long ago decided that college should be called higher education. The way we speak about education is inherently classist. When a student of lesser means attends a traditional college or university, we say she overcame her circumstances. When a student from a wealthy background chooses a trade school, we say he didn't live up to expectations. We are all but telling people that the trade jobs the society needs are dirty and that skill-based education is for people without means or much worse, without potential. We have perpetuated the idea that baccalaureate degrees and desk jobs are for middle class and affluent people, and hands-on skill development and technical pursuits are for the poor. However, this thought needs to change in today's context. If you look at the needs of the hour, the United Nations Population Fund has defined demographic dividend as the growth potential that results from shift in population's age structure. A recent study conducted by them noted that India has an important window of demographic dividend, as we're all aware. And this window is from 2005-6 to 2055-56. So a 50-year window. And we're already 15 years into it. with 62.5% of the population falling in the working age group. It is expected that this will further go up to 65% by 2036. Now, this same study also recognized the importance of imparting vocational education to avail the benefits of demographic dividend. In 2017-18, for instance, India's rate of unemployment stood at 6.1%, with 5.3% unemployment among rural workers and 7.8% in urban areas. About 18 million people were unemployed as of 2018. Some of the basic identifiable reasons for such unemployment have been lack of skill-based education and communication skills, rapid technological change, and use of age-old training methods. Now, it was evident, therefore, that the country needed better and focused training methods, catering to the requirements of particular skill set of a job, so as to help the candidate find easy employment or be self-employed. The National Skill Development Corporation, or NSDC, has been instrumental in imparting skill-based education in India. Now, recently, I was going through some numbers. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, which was initiated to support state-level initiatives, show that placement performance of this scheme has been impressive, with more than 57% of placements happening, 52% among females and 48% among males. If we look at sector-wise employment, we see that most of placements have happened in electronics and hardware sector after skill development, followed by apparel and retail. Now, to quickly summarize, NSDC has contributed to 80% of wage employment, 18% of self-employment, and 2% of apprenticeship in India. Gross figures of 1.6 million are indicative of the scope of vocational training sector in building the future of the nation. Now, coming to the National Education Policy 2020. So first of all, I really congratulate the policymakers for recognizing the problem, for accepting the problem, and this is a step in the right direction. I agree that there are challenges in terms of implementation. As with any new policy, various stakeholders need to come together. But as far as intent is concerned, as far as recognizing the challenges are concerned, this policy is perfectly in line with global standards and addresses the need of the hour. It recognizes the role of vocational education in building the Indian demographic dividend. The policy observes that less than 5% of Indian workforce, now this is really alarming, less than 5% of Indian workforce in the age bracket of 19 to 24 years receives any form of formal vocational education. And when you compare these numbers across the globe, in US, for instance, this is 52%. In Germany being leader in manufacturing, this number goes up to 75%. And South Korea, this goes up to 96%. Now, while identifying the need for the development of vocational skills, the policy highlights the importance of removing rigid distinctions between vocational and academic streams. Now, this is exactly what we were referring to in the earlier part of the discussion. And it seeks to eliminate harmful hierarchies between different areas of learning. Now, this will really go a long way in ensuring that there's no distinction between academic and non-academic areas of learning. Another key aspect of the policy is that it seeks to facilitate quality holistic education. Thus, as we discussed, there's no there's no gap, there's no difference in terms of academic, curricular, extracurricular, vocational, because the objective at the end of the day is to teach holistically. And it also seeks to incorporate the teaching of vocational skill within school curriculum to augment innovation, adaptability, and productivity. In a major move towards ensuring vocational exposure, students will have an opportunity to learn various vocational crafts. Now, these crafts will be determined by states and local communities in line with their needs, in line with local skill gaps. And students from grades 6 to 8 will be encouraged to participate in a 10-day bagless period. So for 10 days, internship opportunities to learn vocational subjects will be available to students from grades 6 to 12. The policy really seeks to promote the provision of online vocational courses as well, to ensure that the reach increases further, much further. Now, correspondingly, in higher educational institutions, it has been recognized that quality higher education with a focus on vocational subjects is necessary to build capable and competent individuals for the 21st century. Thus, the policy focuses on increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from 26% in 2018 to 50% in 2035. Now, states also have been urged to adopt innovative mechanism, access to adequate number of resources, counselors, teachers, including vocational subjects, to hire local eminent persons or experts. Now, schools will be encouraged to hire local eminent persons or experts as master instructors in various subjects, such as traditional local art, vocational craft, or entrepreneurship, to benefit students and help preserve and promote local knowledge and professions. The policy also envisions the establishment of national professional standards for teachers by 2022 in consultation with various bodies, authorities, including expert bodies on vocational education. Now, this I believe is a wonderful move. Considering the great contribution or the importance of educators in our society, it is really time that we invest in our educators. A new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teachers is also proposed to be established by 2021. Now, this will take into account the requirements of teachers' education and will be revised every 5 to 10 years. Now, this National Council for Vocational Education and Training will function as a professional standard setting body for vocational education. So this will ensure uniformity across the country. A professional standard setting body really helps. The policy really aims to ensure that by 2025, at least 50% of learners across schools and higher education systems have exposure to vocational education. So I believe the intent is really great. If we really seek to establish India as a manufacturing powerhouse in the days to come, this is the right way to go. There cannot be any doubt or debate with regard to this. Policy notes the need to effectively integrate vocational education into mainstream education across all institutions in a phased manner to facilitate collaborations with local industries, establish incubation centers or skill labs, and conduct short-term certificate courses. Now, it's really important that there's to be a perfect collaboration in the days to come, not only in letter, but also in spirit, between industry and academia, in order to ensure that the policy is implemented fruitfully and benefits reach each and every deserving student. Now, to facilitate such integration, the policy also calls for creation of National Committee for Integration of Vocational Education. So even that part has been taken care of. There's a proper committee who will look into this integration part. And they will consist of experts in vocational education and representatives from ministries in collaboration with the industry. information sharing across institutions have also been encouraged, and a national higher education qualification framework has to be formulated in sync with national skill qualification. So a lot of, I'll say, the policymakers have definitely given a very deep thought to it, and each and every aspect has been taken care of as far as the policy goes. Now, the policy is novel in its recognition of the value of vocational education. So the value has been very well recognized. It rightly identifies the need to integrate vocational education into mainstream education rather than trying to develop it independently, and thus dispels the belief that vocational education is inferior to mainstream education, because this impacts the choices students make. Also focuses on ensuring dignity of labor. It is key to enhance learning experience and provide for holistic development, both at a professional and personal level. Now, if vocational education is introduced at a young age, policy enables young students to obtain a hands-on experience of the subject and thereby allows them to make more confident and informed professional choices in later part of their career. It is perceived that this could create more satisfied professionals in the long run. Now, regular access to internship opportunities that we discussed would also provide an impetus towards building entrepreneurial skills. Another important aspect of the policy is to recognize the value of practical experience. For instance, the policy proposes the development of a framework to recognize prior learning with an aim to reintegrate dropouts from formal education system based on their practical experience, and also permits institutions to grant a certificate upon completion of 1 year in a discipline. However, it is equally important that students and guardians absorb this in right spirit and actually engage in practical learning instead of procuring dummy internships, which will stifle the entire outlook of promoting vocational education. Also, it is important that adequate regulations be made to ensure that practical learning opportunities for students do not become an indirect means to exploit them. Concerns have emerged that importance accorded to vocational education in the policy could widen existing inequalities and lead to vocationalization of education. Students may tend to focus only on vocational subjects, and it may lead to alienation of underprivileged students. But I guess what is really important is that all stakeholders come together and implement it in right spirit. The focus on vocational education will require substantial investment and adequate participation from industry players. In this regard, the policy is comprehensive, for it acknowledges the need to ensure active collaboration with industry players, as well as the need to equip teachers with skills to impart vocational education. It is also essential that industry players and educators engage in constructive discussions while determining the curriculum for the same. The policy really puts India on a track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals set out by United Nations, guaranteeing equal access to opportunities, access to quality technical and vocational education for everyone. Thus, it is now the need of the hour to productively engage all stakeholders, industry, government, students, to construct a roadmap to effectively realize the potential of India's demographic dividend. A young workforce equipped with practical industrial acumen will enhance productivity and play a vital role in building a self-sufficient India. I thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing, and I really look forward to hear the views of our esteemed panel on this very important topic. Over to you, Shubhayu.
Thank you, Achin. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Uh, when I introduced Achin, I told you about his consulting background. As you can see, the amount of research that he puts into every topic is really phenomenal. Well, it is now my privilege to introduce the panel to you today. Before we start with the panel discussion, a couple of quick pointers to everybody who's attending today. As you all know, the next Together for Education webinar, which happens on Saturday, happens to be our 50th episode. We do have a few events that we have in mind, and we would really like all of you to attend. But more importantly, like we have always done, we would like to hear from you on what you would want to see happen. If you want something special to be done on the 50th episode, if you want your queries to be solved, or if you have something to share, please do send us an email so that we can incorporate that into our program. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce this absolutely stellar panel to you. Our first speaker today, the first panelist that I introduced today, is Ms. Sandhya Venkatesh. Ms. Venkatesh is the principal of the Mount Litera Z School in Vasco, Goa. She's had nearly 32 years of teaching experience, of which more than 25 years are as a principal of reputed English medium schools and education providers in India. She has been awarded the Emerging Leader Award at Leadership Excellence Award in Dubai 2018, the Devang Mehta National Education Leadership Award 2018, and the Best District Principal Award by the Science Olympiad Foundation in 2013-14, 2016-17, 2017-18, and 2019-20. She is also the secretary of the Rotary Club of Vasco 2020 to 2021. Ma'am, privileged to have you with us. We are also privileged to have with us Mr. Dilip Kumar. Sir, thank you so much for coming on board a second time. We've had him here once earlier. Sir is qualified with an MEd and an MPhil with English for academic purpose from Amity University and Advanced Language Institute. He has a degree in HR management from the Amity University. He is the recipient of the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching by MHRD Government of India. He is a recipient of the Avantika Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Principal, Rashtriya Mahatma Samman 2019, and Effective Principles of 2019, chosen by eminent educationist Education Today. He is currently the principal of the CMLCL Vidya Bharati School in Lumshnong, Meghalaya. Thank you so much for being here, sir. It's also a privilege to have with us Mr. Balasubramanian Murli, who is the principal of DPS Yamunanagar. Sir is a postgraduate in mathematics and education and possesses 32 years of teaching experience in reputed CBSE schools. He has been associated with DPS over the last 22 years and served as the principal in different DPS institutions like DPS Indonesia, DPS Anantnag, and DPS Srinagar. He always works for the underprivileged children and special education needs children. Sirs, ma'am, it's our privilege to have you all with us. If I could invite you to please switch on your cameras, I'll stop my share so that we can all see each other. Thank you so much for being here. I would first go around the table for your opening remarks of the topic we have at hand today. Sandhya ma'am, if we may start with you.
The topic given to me is changes required in the education system for vocational education. The National Education Policy has come forward with vocational education. It was, though, a part of our education system for a long time, but it was not encouraged as the schools are not having all the facilities. Now, when I talk about vocational education, it has not been given a proper say in the education system, because when we say vocational education, it is not looked up upon with great respect. It is mostly given as a second grade treatment. Now, when I talk about changes, what changes the school has to come up, the national education policy per se is a beautiful policy to read, to understand, but to integrate, to get it into force, I don't know how far it would be successful. But being an educationist and being a positive person, I am totally with it because I see a great future. The changes required for adopting vocational education, first and foremost, the schools have to be well equipped. Now, when I talk about my school, I'm in Goa. The vocations in Goa are different to what is required in Maharashtra or Gujarat or in Rajasthan. So the state government has to take it up very well. Like suppose if I talk about Goa, tourism is one thing which is looked upon. Then there are people, the boys who would like to go on ship. So they need to be trained. Then you have healthcare. There are a lot of things where we require lot of training. So my next concern is, do we have teachers for that? So the first and foremost is to get the teachers ready. If I say my country has to develop vocational education, the first and foremost is the requirement of teachers, the requirement of infrastructure. When I say it is, I want to introduce bakery, do I have a proper facility in school? So every school, whichever school picks up a vocational stream, has to be ready. You cannot have things on paper. So whatever you want, every person, every institution has to prepare a proper plan, vocations they are going to introduce. Like this year we started with tourism in my 11th and 12th, but when I say from 6th to 12th, do we have something called tourism in 6th, 7th, 8th, which will go up to 10th standard? So we have to, as educationists, work on these lines. A proper curriculum is required. It should not be only for giving exam, but we have to prepare lifelong learners. It should not be only for passing exam. Tomorrow the student should be able to earn his bread and butter. The best thing taught by pandemic is you are lost. You don't have anything in your hand. You don't have a job to survive. Very rightly put up by Mr. Philip. The ladies started cooking, providing food because they needed to run their family. So why do we wait for a pandemic to teach us? Why can't we have our students ready for any other pandemic or any other things coming to our forefront? Why wait? Why are we preparing our children for a problem? We should prepare our children for solution. We should prepare our children to face the world. Let us find out the vocations which are required. I remember when we were in school, we were taught under work experience how to fix up the plugs for electrical fittings. We were taught how to cook, how to prepare bakery products. Though we got grades for that, but we learned. We learned today also I can fix up my plugs, electrical plugs. So can my student do that? My big question is, it should not remain on paper. Let us get our schools ready for it. Let us pick up the vocation which we want our children to learn. And let us see to it that it doesn't remain on paper. He should be able to earn his bread and butter. And it is very true that if you say vocational education, it is looked down upon. When you say carpentry, you are teaching your children to do carpentry work. But is he going to use it? Why not modify it into something beautiful that he learns and he puts it into practice? When we say electrical fitting, when we say painting, there are so many things the youngsters can do. There are so many things they can stand on feet and earn. Why do you require a graduate degree? Because we Indians, we teachers say only graduates are educated. But let me put it very clearly, it is not the sign of being literate. There will be a person who is illiterate, but he'll be much more understanding than a postgraduate. So let us put it very clear, all the things properly. If we are saying vocational education, what we want, when we compare ourselves with other developed countries, where do we stand? Where are our people? We talk about so many people under poverty line. Why are they under poverty line? Because we have not taught them the tricks which will make them self-sufficient. Do we teach our children tomorrow if there is a problem, you have to do this to stand on your feet? No. Why there are so many problems? Because children cannot take stress. They cannot take no for an answer. They cannot take drawbacks. They cannot take shortcomings in life. When you are talking about vocational education, let us not label it as children who cannot do well in mainstream. No, it is not the case. There are many children who may not be able to do good in mainstream. So what, we should leave them, or we should prepare them for something where they can stand on their feet? There are so many things which we as institutions have to spread it on the table. Let the student pick up, learn, and stand on his feet. Certification is important, because without that, I'm very sorry to say, the poor kids won't get any job. So you require a certificate in today's world to get a job. You require a degree, a diploma. So why not polish our education system in such a way that if you are saying a carpentry, let it continue from the lower classes to the higher secondary, and then to graduate level, and then to further to postgraduate level with the proper curriculum. When I say tourism, let it be graded up to graduate or postgraduate level, which will help my children to stand on their feet. And when I say change, it is a complete change in the mindset of people. We educators have to change our mindset, and then we will be able to change others' mindset. Because we ourselves sometimes look down upon when we say we have to introduce this as vocational education in our school. Half of the people would stand against you. Why this? Why not this? So we need to plan our move properly so that we have everything in place. So for starting any vocational education, your labs should be up to date. You should have people, maybe that person may not have a degree, but he may know the tricks of the trade. He'll be able to teach your children, right? Fixing up of scooter. I don't know how many people can change the tire. How many people can work on something when the car is just broke down somewhere? Do you know that where the spark plug is? These are very minor things. It starts from there. There, if you start working on these things, slowly and slowly the interest develops. It should not be labeled that a child of a garage mechanic will become a garage mechanic. No, it's not that. It's not the case. The best of the people who know their trade, they know the tricks of the trade, they come up in life. You don't have to label it, right? So when the pandemic came and we started running helter skelter, searching for things, doing things will not help. Tell me one thing very, very, very honestly. When we told our teachers that you have to start something online, they jumped 10 steps back. We can't. But today, after pandemic came, everybody is online. Everybody is on mobile. Everybody is on laptop. We learned it. So why do we require? We require a ringmaster to teach us. And the pandemic was the best ringmaster to teach every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think everybody thoroughly enjoyed that. I could see Murli sir absolutely clapping along. Uh, Pandemic, the great ringmaster. That's one for the ages. We are going to retain that quote. Uh,
Thank you.
Dilip Kumar sir, if I can move from Goa to Meghalaya, what do you think are some of the changes that you would from the seas right to the hills?
Good evening,
Good evening, sir.
all the panelists, attendees, and thank you, Mr. Philip Barrett, for setting the things, almost all the notebook sessions. He is the one who gives the real direction. Then Achin Bhattacharji has also explained in detail. And another thing, the notebook as a platform is doing a great job during this pandemic. I and many more leaders got benefit. I will start some of the experience from the rural countryside. And in the year 1995 to 2002, I was working in one of the school in northeastern part, and the headmaster, Mr. Carling, he believed that equally importance should be given to academics as well as activities. He took the children, teachers, we went for the camping. We went beyond the classrooms. And that time there was mindset also that people were working for the academic. The academic is very important, whereas we made the balance between academics and activities. I learned a lot from him. And I'm just quoting few examples to just give you the understanding of how this vocational education will change the life. So one of the student from one of the rural school in UP where I was working, he was selected for a camp, 3-month internship at Infosys Mysore. He's a class 9 student. And he was selected because he topped in one of the examination by ESET. And he was given that reward. And by staying 3 months in Infosys campus, when he returned back, he was changed totally. He got lot of his skills. So this vocational education is not something which is mean, but for me, it empowers, it makes you more capable and prepares you for life. During my childhood, when I used to go from my school, on the way I saw that potters, carpenters, there were people expertise, and now they have those things they have established as a very good business. There were barbers. So these communities and community programs where they had now, if you adopt, it was given by their family members, it was passed from generation to generation. Now we have new education policy, we have a government which has vision to revamp the education system. Earlier we used to listen that, okay, what is the difference in the best education in the world and how we can replicate, what best practices we can take in India. So they said, okay, they start education little late, 7 years, then they have vocation from the beginning. Here also in CBSE, we have culinary arts, we have art integrated programs, we have number of courses. So these things, when you take the student beyond the classroom, when you give them opportunity for the skill development, when you give them, offer ample opportunity for activities, take them for Model United Nation or round square activities. So this brings a big change. There was a time when our parents believed that there is only two opportunity, either you have to become a doctor or you have to become engineer, and if you cannot become these two, you are useless. But now the scene has changed, and now people have understood that this mushrooming of the engineering college and that they are having degree, but it is of no use. So integrating and adopting and accepting by the parents in the real sense, empowering them with the technology, IT as a vocational skill, different type of culinary arts. We have a special item prepared during our marriage time, and it was cooked by our community, and that item is known as biranj. So what happens during marriages, we invite those people who have that skill, and they prepare in a very different way, covering another thing. Now slowly what is happening, it is not limited to a particular community. Now it is part of vocational education, that you can learn these skill, you can develop these skills, you can adopt these skills. And the rural area and village area, if you see, you need not wait for any support, you have ample. Here we have bamboo, and more than 1,000 item you can develop with bamboos. Because in the year 1990, I started from Arunachal Pradesh, and I saw with the bamboos how much things, even bamboo for the construction material, to food items, chairs, and different items, 1,000 items. So if you take these items from local, and what our Prime Minister says, from local to global, so you have these things available nearby. You have to just recognize what is available with you, and this is very much available in the countryside. Yes, for marketing these things, you will need help from technology. You have to empower the children, you have to teach them computer education, you have to give them IT education, you have to take computer on wheel, you have to go to the villages, you have to go to them and empower them. So vocational education is in right direction. It is right approach and very much required. And we must congratulate government what they have talked. These are bold steps. There was a time when it was all the traditional resources, our cultural resources, lot of, we call it hunar, skills, which was replaced by rote learning. Now you have the opportunity as part of the policy to implement it, and it will depend. It will be possible only when the parent comes. One of the student and his mother told me that my son is very good in art. I told, I don't know, because she said he attended a camp and he was very good in art. And he opted architecture. He became a landscape architect. He's very successful in that area. So it is not only that, you see, it is of ITI level. You can take it further. They have 4,000 areas. So they get broader aspect. It is recognized, it is considered, it is accepted, and it will empower them. So I am very much thankful for the government bringing such a wonderful program, accepting this, and now it is up to the parent to accept this, realize the importance. And most highly paid jobs, it's not the engineering and doctors. A safe gets very good salary. This fashion, beauty parlors. So empowering them, that you see, when we talk about even sports, they say that, okay, everybody is not going to become Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Sachin Tendulkar. But okay, there are how many people involved with them? There are not only people who play in the ground. There are many things related to that vocation. So yes, skill education is empowering the nation. We have to start from local to global. Wherever we are, we have to see that opportunity. And we have to make sure, we have to ensure that parents, yes, kitchen garden also, if develop kitchen garden, they will not only learn, it will empower them and it will give them livelihood also. So yes, there are opportunity, and like international programs, we also have to not only give the equal importance, rather we have to make sure that, okay, certain percentage we have to give them for creativity, action and service like programs, where you divide this vocational opportunity. It is very much integrated in the curriculum. So this is my thought. Philip sir and Achin sir has explained, and what ma'am Sandhya has told is wonderful. So I just wanted to take it further, but I see that wherever we are, we have a lot of things from the local, and we have to recognize and we have to develop it, work upon that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So ma'am spoke about changes in people's mindset. Sir spoke about changes that are more of a policy level, and also changes in the parents' mindset, because let's face it, when you're a young student, the parent does have a lot of say in what you're going to do. Murli sir, if I may come to you, if I had to ask you for some really tangible on the ground changes that you would make to your institution, would you want to list some?
Good evening to all panelists and then educationists. And then thanks to Notebook for giving me an opportunity to share my views on this topic Either I'm perfectly right or wrong, that's secondary, but I'm privileged to put up my views on this topic. Before we go into deep of these topics, let me give the remark of the opening. Given the necessity for new relationships between education, the world of work, and the community as a whole, a technical and vocational education should exist as part of a system of lifelong learning adapted to the needs of each particular country and to worldwide technological development. This system should be directed to abolishing barriers between levels and areas of education, between education and the world of work, and between school and society through the appropriate integration of technical, vocational, and general education at all levels are in demand. The creation of open and flexible education structure is required. The taking into account of individuals' education needs, the evolution of occupations and jobs, recognizing work experience as a part of learning, improving the quality of life by creating a learning culture that permits individuals to expand their intellectual horizons, to acquire and to constantly improve professional skills and knowledge, and to engage positively in society, to utilize the fruits of economic and technological change for the general welfare. Within the education system and between school and the world of work, thus contributing to the elimination of all forms of discrimination, and to be designed so that it is an integral part of everyone's basic general education in the form of initiation to technology, the world of work, and human values and standards for responsible citizenship, may be freely and positively chosen as the means by which people develop talents, interests, and skills leading to an occupation in various sectors or to further education, allows access to other aspects and areas of education at all levels, including institutions of higher learning, by being grounded in a solid general education, and allows transfers from one field to another within technical and vocational education. This only our now new NEP is also trying to implement, is readily available to all and for all appropriate types of specialization within and outside formal education systems, and in conjunction or in parallel with training, in order to permit educational career and job mobility at the minimum age at which the general basic education is considered to have been acquired according to the education system in force in each country. It's available on the above terms and on the basis of equality to women as well as men, and where the learning and working environment is made suitable for the participation of girls and women by removing overt and covert bias and discrimination and seeking strategies for motivating girls and women to take an interest in vocational and technical education. It's available to people with disabilities and to socially and economically disadvantaged groups such as immigrants, refugees, minorities, including indigenous peoples, demobilized soldiers in post-conflict situations, and underprivileged and marginalized youth in special farms adapted to their needs in order to integrate them more easily into the society. So in this, if I've seen from Ms. Sandhya and Mr. Philip, Chin and Dilip, everybody spoke very well on that as this vocational education is very much required. This vocational education is not the new for India. Even my studies also, I had carpentry, weaving, every small work. So that everybody is self-sufficient. They never look for, if suppose a small work is required, there is no requirement of calling a carpenter or an electrician. They are self-composed or self-supported persons. So immediately they will be able to do a minor work. If it is a major work, then only they look for technical people, so major repairing work, that cases only. So that is missing nowadays, even though 5-10 years before, 3-4 years before, we had SGPW also, that is socially benefit work, that is useful work for the students. That we have given many pottering and then making what we can say baskets and different craft work, and these all things also we have given. So many trainings, small one is coming. So now what the government is planning to have is connect the school with some industries so that they will be getting immediate some good jobs for the students and those who are required. So those who want to develop in these all further and then a diploma or degree on the same field, it's in school level, we give them a basic idea so that the interest can be developed in them. And the parents also will get to know, okay, my child is keen in this. Instead of forcing them in, you go for engineering, you for doctor, rightly said, before that age, it was only lawyer, doctor, engineer only. Now there are many things which we don't know. Every day, some new things are coming and the technological advantages is giving more opportunities. Now AI has come, so everybody is working on AIs. So that's only that they have to work on how the demand is going on. According to that, we must change our education system also. So then the interest of the people and more what that is job-oriented courses or job-oriented vocational courses. It's not that way simply I will be going with only carpentry or I will be going with weaving, I will be going with only agriculture. So we must find that what all possible we are. That's only government also say, and even Prime Minister also say Atmanirbhar. So the Atmanirbhar is possible only when we know that as I have these resources. With these resources, what all possible I can do. In South, if I go with coconut, many things they have that. With the coconut tree, with the banana tree, we have plenty of opportunities for the entrepreneurs. Instead of going for a job, they should start a job. That's a startup is required for that this vocational training from the base, so that the mindset of the child will improve, and they are the future, and they will give the good economy so that the country can develop and it can raise up. Unless and otherwise we identify, always they will be with bookish only. I am scoring 90%. Every competition now, even they are going for quota or whatever be the engineering colleges, they go for it. How they are getting? They are learning, cramming, and they are attempting, and by crook or crook, they get into some, because lakhs and lakhs peoples are getting training from that 100 peoples, and then they beat the drum. We are the best institute to give produce this results. Such a way it is coming. So the people are going and investing lakhs and lakhs rupees and the time, and they are killing the childhood of, that is 2-3 years of the childhood. They are killing, they are not at all enjoying that. Instead of it, they should identify and side by side. Okay, if it is not engineering, what is next, which is good for you, and you will be able to stand on your own leg. You will not depend on the properties of the parents. That self-reliance is very much required. That I hope so. This vocational education, if it is channelized, properly brought into the school, not rightly ma'am said, it should not be in, not only in paper. They are talking about internship. Internship means normally they sit at home, okay, you get a certificate. That bogus certificate should not be given. So it should be, they should learn really. So then we will be able to say that, okay, this vocational education will be a successful one along with the academic. Otherwise, neither that side nor this side, they will be hanging on only. So they will not be performing this or that one. So with this, I conclude my submission on this topic, but everybody has given that as every point relevant, but still there's a room to find a place or changes in vocational education. Thanks for the wonderful opportunity amongst this all educationists to give my views on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. But we are not done, because my job as a moderator is to do deep dive and ask you very uncomfortable questions.
Surely, sir, I am here, sir. I am not going. I will be getting, because I must get all the final verdict on this.
Sir, as I asked you a little while back, if I had to look at DPS Yamunanagar, that's your school, and if I had to tell you to kind of, what would be the tangible changes that you would make to your school today?
So in Yamunanagar, what I have started, sir, we have started, there are many, whatever CBSE has introduced, there we have started apparel, we have started designing, so that they will be going further. And then AI we have started. Yoga, it is a very good, and even if they are trained, they can go abroad and then they can train. It is in the market. This type of things where this children showing interest, and at the same time with the existing staff, we are not going for any new staff. With the existing staff who is capable of doing, so the teacher also happy. Okay, I got what I know, what I am talented, that topic I got it. So thanks a lot, sir. So that way it comes out to be. So we must see that where the people, this parents also to be happy, and children should not be burdened. At the same time, the teachers to be motivated. Okay, you can do that. So that type of courses we have taken. Even we have taken a market accountancy also. So these all 7-8 subjects we have taken, and the students, and healthcare, it is in demand, because everybody is taking care of their health, what is in demand. So that all things which is in demand, that I have taken for the last 2-3 years. I am in Yamunanagar. So I'm doing good with that.
Wonderful. I mean, every week when you do these webinars, I get the sense that I was born too before time, Because I should have experienced the schooling system much later.
Yeah.
Dilip Kumar sir, if I may come to you, you raised the topic of having how much of bamboo plantations in your area. The Northeast is known to be rich in bamboo, and to my knowledge, there are two Indian startups who have started creating fiber from bamboo to the extent
Yes.
that they can even make bamboo cloth.
Yes.
Uh, when you have such rich local industries that come up, do you try to map your vocational training or vocational plans around such industries?
Yes, certainly. What sir told also, Murli sir, when he mentioned about the coconut, if you go in our southern area and banana, so there are many opportunity available with that. So in the complete context, what I was talking about, what I wanted to focus upon, that we have to start from local to global.
Yes.
Wherever you are, you have many things. You have to take it out from that and you have to develop. So Atmanirbhar, and what sir also told, that you see Atmanirbhar Bharat, that we are not preparing this vocation education will surely help them not to be a job seeker, but they will become a job giver. When they develop something from local, they take out which is available, and with the help of IT, you make it that opportunity. World is a small global village now, so you can take it with the help of if you empower them with the IT technology, internet, and capable, make them capable. So what are the things they develop locally, and if you do the proper marketing, yes, you have ample opportunity. So we all have to see. And then what sir also told about this, see, we also had a CPW, yes, and we are getting some grades, and yes, we were born little early, because but internship not for taking certificates. But I gave you an example of internship by going from the rural school to Mysore, and bringing a bring big change. So if the corporate start, not for the job, I'm not asking for the job, I'm asking for this internship opportunity, which will give them exposure, empower them, and they will come back and explore locally in the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So yes, not only bamboo, there are a lot of opportunity, lot of local things, herbs, plants. They adopt. There are numerous opportunity available, and traditional also there are occupations which is available. So now we are starting pottery, we are starting gardening, we are starting carpentry. In the name you call it in international school and in light school design technology. We call it carpentry. But yes, that design technology is our carpenter is
Right, sir.
yes, he is a DT. So we give them, and it's a fun engagement, a real learning in the sense, because when
Need.
what sir talked about, that you see that only getting a certificate, I will tell you a bitter truth. What happened when I was in Raipur, the parent used to come. Why parent involvement is, parent used to come that we want admission in class 11. I told yes, you appear for the when the small entrance test is there. No sir, we want to get admission, dummy admission. I told, what is dummy admission? So no, 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 child will go to Kota and we will pay you fee and he will appear examination from here. Then I told, what is the need of making such a huge curriculum and practicals when the child will not have any exposure, and he will become IIT, he will get into IIT, NIT. So what is the fact? What you are doing? You are against rote learning. You don't want rote learning, and you are doing the same thing. You are taking them that, okay, you prepare different set of question paper, then no practical exposure, no practicals, and they named it dummy admission. Then another interesting style. I had many teachers. One teacher came and gave me certificate. sir, I have completed B.Ed. I told, how you completed B.Ed? You were all the time here. How you can do a regular B.Ed? I told, that is available, sir. There are many universities which you pay the amount and get that certificate. So where is, you see, this is also dummy. The whole purpose of giving B.Ed or getting training, preparing teacher for the real classroom, if the teacher come into classroom, but no, that degree is required, the paper is required. In the same way, what happens? Ultimately, they talk, no, now we will not have, a child can study physics, history, everything. Very nicely explained in the new education policy. But then they say, who will write engineering exam? You must have PCM. Why you should have PCM? When it is skill, when anybody can opt any subject. So after class 12, if I have ability, I will appear in the interest, I will clear. No, eligibility is must. You cannot become architect if you don't have PCM earlier. And whereas architecture is not PCM, architecture is a lot of art and history. But the mindset, parent, and you see, making policy and making it implementation level. So lot of things where we need change. And parent will tell, yes, we need from school 5 hours in school, 6 hours, 10 minutes. Rest time, they are with them. So it is the parent responsibility. It is the joint responsibility of school and parents. We both will work together. We will encourage the child. We will provide them opportunity to develop them skillfully, and they will be not only the job seeker, but they will become a startup. What sir has told, I really loved it. Atmanirbhar Bharat, local to global. This is in the right direction. But then practically, when you see the teacher coming and giving you the degrees, and somebody getting into IIT who has not seen where is the school, and you are making film the super 30, super 100, super 80. But those people were not in school for a single day. So we need to change this mindset also. We have to come out from our tunnel vision. It is not, yes, plan is there, government approach is good, but we all will have to. And parent role is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sandhya ma'am, if I may come to you, you spoke about developing the right kind of teachers, right? Now, in Goa, or I think anywhere else, if I leave the option to a young student, even assuming that the parents are, forward thinking enough that they would really want the student to learn a certain vocational skill, the student can choose from a wide range of options. And then the limitation cannot be what a school can offer. So I'm guessing some part of it will have to be offline. Some part of it will have to be online. Your comments on that, ma'am?
The pandemic has made everybody come online, right? So I don't know in near future when we will be back to school, though they are saying we should start school. But with vocational education, when you talk about, it's a wide range. Now, if I talk about my school, I have to give tourism, I have to give wellness, I have to give beauty, I have to give bakery, I have to give tailoring. There are n number of things, but to get a teacher for all this is impossible. So the other option is I get specialists, get them on my roll, and they can take online. So this pandemic has taught us that learning can happen anywhere and everywhere. So if I have to get a good teacher, maybe from any part of India, I can just enroll that person. I can enroll my children, online teaching can go on. And vocational education now can go on from anywhere and everywhere. Let us not restrict it to the classroom. So if I am telling that I am going to give something great to my children, something great which will make them stand on their feet, which will make my children from local to global, will make them Atmanirbhar, I have to create that platform where I engage people from anywhere, of any part of the world. The person may be sitting right in UK, may be interested in doing something in my country, in my state. So why not I collaborate with that person and start it? See, what is required is a proper framework. Now, when I say it is to be tourism, I have a curriculum. Forget about tourism. If I say beauty or health or I say carpentry, a proper framework, a proper curriculum, which I can share with XYZ and tell him that this is my curriculum. Wherever you are based, please, can we do it online? So my children, a proper time is given to them and it can happen. I don't think anything is impossible now. Everything is possible. With this time, I think everything is going to work. So we have to pick up those trade which will help our children. It should not be I'm teaching something which is not useful here. Now, as the heads, we have to analyze, like Dilip sir said, in his area it is bamboo. Murli sir said coconut. Then when you come to Goa, you have coconut, you have jackfruit. You have lot of things. You have sea beaches where you get shells. So decorative items. Any child wants to learn, we should give that platform. So we have to create that opportunity for the student. We have to see how we are going to aid our learners and how we are going to make them self-sufficient.
Wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much. Murli sir, if I may come to you on the flip side of this, the way I see vocational education is whenever I'm a civil engineer by training, right? So we started with a very vast understanding of civil engineering, brought it down to certain electives. And by our final year, we had narrowed it down to either construction technology or traffic engineering or, water treatment. And so there was a funnel, there was a narrowing down. With vocational education, there is a view that you are perhaps starting at the bottom point of the funnel, where I teach you a pinpointed application of a wide set of knowledge. And therefore, I'm perhaps reducing the width of curiosity, if I may call it that. What's your take on that?
So in this, that's right. The same thing, they should be, whatever be the vocational or whatever be the training it can be, it should be localized, first of all. And according to the local demand, so that he will be able to, even if he, after completing, if he is starting up something, okay, he will be able to, it's the same thing, a small thing, a funnel, it can be in the reverse order. Okay, so he will be able to rise up and he will be able to give more opportunities. Even in Yamuna Nagar, see that many plywood industries are there. So that one person has started some popular tree, then most of them have started planting popular trees. Then they have planted eucalyptus tree. So what is required that area, that should be identified and that should be developed so that the industries can be developed. So that ma'am also said that as even we can connect with others, but the practical knowledge that can be done only physical presence, not on online training or not on online classes. Online, you show anything, everything, it is giving a good one. But when we go mud and greasy and then getting dirty in dress and everything, so then only the learning happens. Even child play, unless and other way he when he cycle or something, unless and other way he fell down 2-3 times, he will not be able to learn the cycle or whatever way that. So he has to do something so that then only he will be able to learn. So these are the learning from him within. He has to learn that. So then this funnel can be reversed and more opportunities they will be able to get that. That's my view, sir.
Wonderful, sir. Dilip sir, if I may ask you to comment on the same thing, because from an educationist point of view would be different on this.
I fully subscribe to what Murli sir has told. And yes, you see, when you talk about the available local thing, only you have to accept it in a very positive way and practically you have to implement it. It should not be on theory or on paper. You have to make it practically possible. And you have to take it as an opportunity. And students also getting opportunity, and my thrust will be on the parent and teacher coming together to implement it or make it happen and accept it as that, okay, this has the opportunity. This is not the limited opportunity. Now our fields are vivid and vast. So by introducing or by accepting and by providing opportunity, you are empowering them. What earlier used to happen, that we were insisting, nahi, everybody has to complete, you have to clear, you have to get into NEET, or you have to clear IIT, or these things by any way. Whether you know anything or not, practically you have done or no, but you have to enter into that institution. So this is happening. But whereas my thrust will be that, yes, real learning should take place and happy learning should take place. It should not be a pressurized way of, it should not create a pressure, but yes, involvement, encouragement, appreciation from both sides, it has to come. Because otherwise parents will tell, there will be parents, my child in KG, she learned in that school so much, and now it has come, you are telling that, okay, no, one letter should take a week, and whereas that in the previous place, she knows all this letter and everything, alphabet, everything she has learned. So what you are doing? So the parent also has to really understand that, okay, their life, now this is the time when you don't give excess pressure, but let them take learning as enjoyment, learning as happiness. So vocationally will be reducing their tension, making the learning process as happy process. And ultimate end is that, yes, they will become more capable, more empowered people. So that is my take upon that. So now they are not dependent, rather they are becoming more empowered by the real new job. Otherwise, you see, there are, if you are collecting only certificate, internship certificate, that, okay, you come one day and we will give you certificate. I stay nearby a cement plant. You see, here also people come and to get certificate. But if you come and enter into as a civil engineer, not only civil engineer you have construction technology, you told about water management, here cement technology, the complete process. And the people who all are here for 10, 20 years, they become what degree and what background they were, but while learning here, it was part of their real learning. They become chief material officer, somebody became unit head, somebody became senior GM, and their idea is they know nitty-gritty of the complete process of cement technology. So, okay, one is civil engineer, but there are the water technologies, cement technology, there are many fields. So you have to give them the real and practical experience. And teachers also, we talked about that, you see, there are two ways. That one way, you want vocational teacher, from where will you get? So, okay, NCBT recognized one certificate, you get it by anyhow. So one way is they're getting on BA degree is there, and bringing something skillful person who is very creative. These are the best brain, vocational brain. Art and painting is not very simple. They are the most creative brains, most creative area. So I appreciate them. I think it is good direction. We have to use. We have to become partner, but parents, because students are with us only for 5 hours. Every parent, they must remember, they are with them. So it is the joint responsibility. Otherwise they will blame, okay, this much learning was there, and if this principal is only taking them for activities, this principal is taking the children only in the kitchen garden and adopt a plant and doing all the process and another thing, no academics, nothing. So what are you doing? So academics, where is there? The same way questions are coming. So there will be a lot of those type of mindset is also there. So we have to prepare them. We have to make them understand that, you see, learning, what is the real learning, and how the vocational learning is real life experience. And so it will, how it will benefit you later on. That after taking a degree in a school, please don't mind it. I get many MTech and BTech, and they are coming to work as a teacher. One lady came, she told, I took civil engineer, but it was not for me. It is not for the ladies. So I want to become a teacher. I told, it was better earlier if you have decided. after spending these 5 years or 4 years taking the degree and then trying there and then coming back, no. So taking the degree is not important now. The real knowledge and practical aspect, vocational aspect, and preparing that is very much essential. I will give you one more example, simple example. One engineer was conducting an interview I was in Bokaro. I'm born and brought up from Bokaro. And one electrician came and he talked about transformer. The electrician explained each and every part of the transformer. And the person engineer who was taking interview, who has come with the degree, heavy degree, he was just. So this vocational education will prepare real person, practical person, real experienced person. So my idea is, yes, degrees are important, but at the same time, skill is more important than anything else. That is my take.
Absolutely, sir. If I may narrate one small personal experience.
Yes.
Incidentally, my first site was a cement plant site somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, place called Tadipatri. And this is one of my first few days on the site. I had learned in college, right?
Yes.
Bars have to be spaced at 100 mm center to center.
Exactly.
And placed in such and such way. We were laying a slab. Now there is almost quarter kilometer of rods laid, supposedly 100 millimeter center to center. My foreman says, sir, jaake dekh lo. Now that is literally measuring distances between hundreds of rods.
Yes.
That will take 3 days.
Yeah.
I am clueless what to do. He says, 2 minutes ruk jao. He walks on it. When he walks on it, he hears the sound of the rods. The sound tells him if the rods are okay or not.
Yes, that is the
He
real.
gives a go ahead.
No, that's experience.
Practical experience.
Practical experience and also knowing exactly what counts where. He knows, he's done it. We all used to say that.
There should be some dignity of the work also. So that's also required. That's why the people are not taking vocational means, okay, it is not going to give you payment or something, white collar job. These all things, that dignity also the parents should understand. And nowadays the child also should understand, because he is also in a luxurious life leading. So most of them, because every family, they have one child or two maximum. So whatever they demand, immediately they get. So they don't know, no. Okay, so whatever the things they get immediately, so they don't know the difficulty of the money or the value of the money or the time spent by the parents or whatever be that they are not getting it. So that is missing. So that's why we have to inculcate these all values along with, because it should be the vocational as well as this academic should be balanced. Otherwise, rightly said Dilip sir, the parents will come, you are focusing only on vocational, you left your academic, certificate clear, where he will be going, that way it will go. So it should be balanced and interest based, and it should not be too much on vocational, not too much on
Academics.
academic. If it is balanced, then because of this vocational, because his interest he has taken, so he will be able to perform very well in academics also. Because a child playing football, all of a sudden he was playing for the till 9th class. The parents always think that as 10th class board exam, so you should not play. So then what will happen? It will affect his academics automatically. He would have performed very well till 9th class. But because of this, because mental guni is there, but there he is not in a position to express it. So there the interest should be continued, maybe minimal time given, but it should be balanced. The parents also should give that as a balance. So the academic and the vocational, both side by side, it will grow and we will get a perfect child, which the country is required for the future. That we can get that.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I am done with my questions. If any of you have any closing remarks, if I may ask Sandhya ma'am first.
So, Bayu, I think a very planned move. Only thing is, everything has to be taken up with precaution, because we have parents who are, I don't say that they are enemies, but they are the ones who are ruining the younger generation. Somewhere they push them to the core for academics, somewhere they push the school to the core where the school cannot handle it. It should be left to the school. The parents need to be educated, because dignity of labor is main thing. Integration of vocation with mainstream academics is very important, because you cannot just rely on academics. Looking at the future of our country, skills need to be developed. So we have to have a well balanced, well planned curriculum, and an educated parent, not from the point of view of degree, but the use. Why vocational education is a must in today's time? Why are we focusing on it? Why was the need for new education policy? Why did we require a new policy? We were having a policy which was going on fine. We could have continued in the mainstream. What was going on? It was okay. Everybody was happy. We were only creating bookworms without any intellect. We were getting people who were getting 100 out of 100, but practically they were unable to handle. So why are we moving from academics to vocational? Not moving totally, but involving vocational education with academics to develop the children. So we need to focus on it. We need to work hard on it. So as educationists, all of us have to move ahead hand in hand, so that we see a great future for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dilip sir, if I may come to you next. Any closing
Yeah,
statements you want?
I just want to tell you that, see, vocational education is skill-based education, and it gives opportunity, it prepares individual for life. It is real life experience or education. By your example also, it was a wonderful example you have just given. So it not only prepares for a job, trade, and as I insisted again and again, it makes you self-reliant, and it is also in the line with the sustainable goal of UN sustainable goal of development, that quality education and preparing and providing better quality life. They become enriched, and it has to be taken as a fun. These learning has to be taken as fun. These learning has to be taken as opportunity. And yes, you provide them that, take them not only to the classroom, take them beyond classroom, take them to the plant where they have. And my guts is saying that, okay, now we are going in the right direction. We are marching toward right direction, and the results will come soon after, because after 40 or 34 year we are getting new education policy. It becomes very difficult. Atal Bihari Vajpayee used to tell that it is easy to speak Hindi in United Nations, not in India. So it happens. So but we are going in the right direction. We have got the policy, and we, with the positive mindset, all the educator, when we talk to each other, and the people who all are in this sector, they talk they understand that what is the real life example, or what is the importance of real life example. So it's in the right direction. It's in the right direction. We all are with this, but we have to enjoy this. And yes, that ultimate word is that Murli sir word, balance. Balance is required. Otherwise, parents, there will be parents who will be appreciating also. They will come, I have sent for vocational education only. But there are parents who will tell, no, I have sent only for the academics. So yes, there is balance is also required in our approach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Murli sir, you get to have the last word.
I think I've submitted my even this vocational education or vocational studies may develop the child's mind, and the new educational policy also bringing a lot of change to bring in the academic, because they can take any subject anytime. So there may be a confusions, which subject, what connectivity, then further higher studies, what way he will be able to take. that is not at all clearly mentioned, but they have to clear up. And along with this, there are many skill development institutions are there, but how much they are doing, that they have to monitor. If they are not doing, they have to guide them, and it should not be, rightly said sir also, that it should not be only certification, how much they have done. Okay, this level he has done, next level he has done, that level should go like this.
Right.
It's not that way, that is, okay, whoever come, okay, you have paid 10,000, okay, you are given. If you have given 20,000, you are given this certificate. It should not go like this way. So it should not be money-minded skilled education. It should go, and every industries, the local industries should give hands to rise up. There they should not hesitate. No, I can't give safety or whatever be the measurements. Everything the school has to take, and the company has to take, and the local government has to take the safety measures, so the development can happen. Otherwise, simply we can have a policy. It remains as a policy. Then another 34 years, again new policy will come. We will be, okay, it is a best policy. We will be able to take, and we will be on debate only. So we will be on debate only. It should not go on debate. It should go on actual. That's my view. So it should go actual, and every citizen should know that for what purpose this is created. It is not that way that is, okay, you have taken a carpentry only, you have to, throughout the life, you are going to be in the carpentry only. But there are more innovations you can create. You can do some creativity, so that the technology, new thing, even you can see that what other countries are. Even before that, what type of chairs, tables we used to have, that has been changed now. The new designing. So everything, it is integrated. Even CBSE also says that as you integrate art with other subjects. So this artistic creativity, and then critical thinking, so that these all things will develop your skill subjects. So that is very much required. I do support, but if it is going in a right direction. If it is not going in a right direction, the parents will come and complain, you are killing my child's time. So that we should not give a chance. So then it will be at the best, and from the child, because now they are starting from 6th class onwards, some skill subject they are bringing. That is the best way to identify. Even they can go 4th class also, a small identification they can do, so they can bring that. And these all developments are very much required for every country if we want to raise up, and if we want to, and this child also should not sustainable way of doing any skill work. Every work should be that way, because now resource is available. What about your future generation? Do we have, will we have that resource or not? We don't know about that. So that resource also they should keep it in mind. Sorry. So then that type of skill and area-wise skill to be, it's not that way that as a whole India, one type of skill work only it will go. It will go area-wise, region-wise, according to the resources, according to the demand, according to that value, so that they will be raising, and we will also raise up economically strong in that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Sandhya ma'am. Thank you, Dilip sir. I think this was a fantastic discussion. There are already people commenting saying excellent session today. And I cannot thank you enough for the wonderful value that you brought to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just one reminder before I invite Achin back for the vote of thanks to everybody out there. If you have suggestions on what we should do for our 50th episode, which is on this Saturday, and I do invite all of you to that event, please write in and let us know, and we'll try and ensure that is part of the event.
what already you have a plan. So then only we will be able
Yes.
But I'm not going to give out the surprise.
no, if there is any add-on, then only we'll be able to. Already you are planning what we are thinking. Then just sir.
Feel free to let us know because we are not going to give out the surprise so easily.
Okay, it's also on education, right, sir?
Yes, it is around education. That's
Okay,
core to
surely,
our existence.
surely, sure, sure.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fantastic panel discussion. I will now invite Achin back for the vote of thanks. Achin, you have quite a bit to thank for, so over to you.
Yes, I think Shubha, a really great session we had. Bharat sir, some great opening remarks, wonderful examples, and your table, last slide of your presentation really stays with us. Very crisp and very thought-provoking. Now coming to our esteemed panelists, Ms. Sandhya Venkatesh, Mr. Dilip Kumar, and Mr. Murli. I must congratulate all of you for the excellent panel discussion that we had today. The best part, what I really liked, and I'm sure our esteemed members of the audience, all of them I appreciate, is a kind of exchange of views that we saw, the excellent camaraderie that we saw. In fact, today when we were working towards our 50th episode on Saturday, the entire objective behind Together for Education webinars was to connect centers of excellence, connect like-minded educators, and ensure that we as Notebook provide a platform for exchange of views. And it is with your contribution, and it is because of sessions like this, that Together for Education webinars have grown from strength to strength. Some great points were discussed today, and I think they're very relevant. Vocational education, as you rightly mentioned, is not entirely new. It has been around for quite some time. But yes, with new education policy on the anvil, which comes after a long gap, definitely it becomes far more structured. Atmanirbhar Bharat is what all of us aspire for. And I'm sure that focus on education policy, focus on vocational education will go a long way to ensure that. And I agree, I completely agree when you say that we need to change the mindset and come out of our tunnel vision. Holistic development of children and preparing them for life are really important. And yes, it's an opportunity, the way all stakeholders, be it parents, students, our esteemed educators, local industry, government bodies, the way all of us need to view this as civil society is that it's a great opportunity to actually take our students beyond classrooms and ensure that they get a broader view of the world. It cannot be confined to mere certification. That's not the objective. It has to be implemented both in letter as well as in spirit. And that can only happen when industry bodies, government authorities, parents, everybody wholeheartedly joins the movement. I think really great session. And also great to hear about Goa. Brings back some great memories for all of us. And I think another great point that was mentioned was the way local needs need to be identified. For instance, what we heard about Goa, need gaps with regard to tourism, they need to be identified. And accordingly, children need to be given more exposure. So I think really a great session, very thought-provoking session. And I'm sure there are some excellent takeaways for our audience as well. I thank each one of you for your time. And we look forward to see you in our next session, which is the 50th episode of Together for Education webinar on Saturday. Thank you, take care, and goodbye.